Hey guys, Tim Miller from The Bulwark. Andrew Schulz is one of those bro comedian podcasters everyone's talking about who, used to be liberal, used to vote for Democrats, and now has been red-pilled and is voting for Republicans. Well, he offered possibly the stupidest argument for a transition to MAGA that I've ever heard on a podcast earlier this week. And so I want to play that for you and respond to it on the other side.
The sides switched so much. When I was younger, Democrats were cool. They were getting their dick sucked in the office. They were right? They were supportive of hip hop music. They said, do whatever you want. We don't want to be in your bedroom. They were cool with gay people. It was cool to be a Democrat. Now, conservatives got 3 baby mamas. The president got 3 baby mamas. He's getting pussy left and right? He's cool. He's the one saying, say whatever the fuck you want. So now conservatives have become Democrats. So I don't think I've changed. I just like the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want. So you want me to be a Democrat again? Get some pussy. Tell me to say whatever I want.
Let me just tell you something. That's really bad when MAGA is now, liberal. Conservatives are liberal. So, it's just a free-for-all for everyone. That says a lot for the so-called conservatives that claim to be conserving anything. I'm not here to talk about people's personal lives, but I'm just saying the fact that it's being said like this says more about the party to me than even his silly comment. But I want to hear what Tim Miller has to say because I want to see if he hits a certain point, because there is a point to be hit about this. By the way, thank you to everybody who is watching. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much.
I'm there.
First off, you're a child, okay? You're a child at age 41. You are determining who you want to be president and make policy for the country based on who you think gets the most pussy? Really? Are you a teenage boy?
I absolutely hate that word. Man, I hope I don't have to censor for YouTube, right?
I know you have a kid, Andrew. Are you going to decide what school they go to based on which principal seems like he's the biggest pussy hound? Do you have any responsibility or accountability in your life? Anyway, rather than lecture you, I don't want to be one of those woke libs that lecture you. Rather than lecture Andrew, I want to actually respond to the merits of his arguments, which are also totally wrong. Okay? It's a childish argument, but it's also a wrong argument. And maybe it's supposed to be funny, it's a little funny, but it's not true. And I think that's the most important thing. Here's Andrew saying that he just likes the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want. He wants politicians that will let people say whatever they want. He argues that the Democrats used to be that party, more libertine, and now it's the Republicans who want people to say whatever they want. Have you paid attention to the news? Okay. This Republican government, Donald Trump, has detained and jailed a woman for writing an op-ed, co-writing an op-ed, where she expressed concerns about Israel's war in Gaza. Okay? I don't remember Joe Biden doing that, jailing somebody, detaining someone because of their political opinion. Donald Trump is doing that right now. You know what else is happening right now? Guys are getting sent to El Salvador because of their tattoos. Are tattoos not free speech? Is that not creativity? Is that not, do people not have free expression to put whatever tattoos they want on their body in this country? There is tons of evidence. There are even documents out of the Department of Homeland Security that the Trump administration determined who to send to the El Salvador prison, in part based on whether they had tattoos that were similar to the Tren de Aragua Venezuelan tattoos, which isn't even really a thing, but whatever. One of the guys we've been talking about, the makeup artist, Andre, has a tattoo of his mother and father with a crown, and he got sent to the prison in part because supposedly the crown tattoo is related to Tren de Aragua. And
Tim Miller just nuked it out of orbit. He's so right. That's the point that I was going to forget to make. Yes. He's talking about, oh yeah, they're cool. They can, you can be yourself. Yo, bro, they literally kidnapping people and them getting rid of them simply because they wrote op-eds against Israel. And while I believe that there's a lot more with the topic of this particular, the person in El Salvador, I don't understand why they're sending people to jails, though. There's one of them that they didn't, whatever. I don't understand why they have to go to those maximum security prisons. Sorry. If they committed a crime or something, okay, but they're not saying that. They're literally saying because they have crown tattoos. That is scary. What if I had that crown tattoo, right, And maybe when I was 13, I did get that crown tattoo because I was in a gang, because that was the only way for me to survive, right? And then now I've changed my life around, but like I can't get rid of the crown tattoo. It's like, oh my God. Like, all right, fine, deport me, but like, Jesus, you're gonna send me to this maximum security prison. And the reason why now I have to care this hard is when you hear Trump say homegrowns, it doesn't feel all cool and edgy. It just doesn't anymore.
And the types of tattoos that Trento Aragua members have. So like, we are detaining and jailing people in this country right now based on their opinions and based on their tattoos. Is that cool? Is that free speech? Is that letting people say whatever they want? Andrew Schulz? I don't think so. You know what else? The president just signed an executive order specifically targeting Chris Krebs, who worked for the Trump administration, who's a Republican, for speaking out and saying that he thought that as an expert in cybersecurity who is paid to keep the 2020 election safe by our government, he spoke out and said that he did not think that any of the conspiracy theories of the 2020 election are true and that the 2020 election was safe. And, you know, he used his free speech rights to express that opinion in interviews. And do you know what that got him? The president of the United States signing an executive order telling his Department of Justice to investigate him. Okay, Andrew Schulz, does that sound like a party that wants to let people say whatever they want?
That is pretty insane. Look, I have my thing about the elections in 2020. I did not vote in 2024, but I lived in Pennsylvania, and still to now, Pennsylvania Republicans, they're so excited because they think they won, but they had me going all over the place about Act 77, and now I just don't hear about it. Everything is okay. That's really crazy to me. Anyway, moving on. He's hitting. That's crazy. I didn't even know that was going on. He can, if he's saying that he didn't think there was, like, he has the right to say that. Like, I don't think he should be investigated over that. That's crazy.
Maybe what you mean when you say, I want to let people say whatever they want, is I want to be able to say pussy and retard and do racial slurs without having anybody nag me about it. I'm not going to nag you, bro. Go ham. Go ham. Make whatever jokes you want. You know, say whatever words you want. You just really love saying pussy over and over again. Go ahead and say it.
God, I wish I would stop saying it.
You want to call me a gay slur? Do it. Make come up with a funny joke. Call me a poof, sure, whatever. I don't care.
I don't know what these words are.
Okay, but like, if that is what you mean by Donald Trump will let you say whatever you want, then yeah, like Donald Trump doesn't care if you do racist jokes on your podcast. All right, and MAGA supporters probably aren't going to tweet about how you offended them or hurt their feelings. Okay, and I mean, you know, unless you go after Christians, or you know, unless you call them stupid mouth breathers.
Okay, first of all, don't see now. I gotta, you know what I mean? Like, let's, you know what? Like, don't do that to Miller. They don't care if you go after Christians. We all know is unless you go after, you know, Israel and the Zionists. Okay, we'll leave it there because I want to agree to disagree on that one, and we'll just move on. But he really did hit it pretty hard. I don't know why he had to add that last part. It was just really odd to me. I mean, I just don't understand. Please, Christian MAGA doesn't even stand up for Christians. They stand up for Zionism. That's what they are. That's like the influencers. You know, they look the other way. You know, please. No. Don't do that.